Greetings, friends, families, foes. It's your homeboy, Zack Miller. Episode 43 of Zack Miller Live. These things, since you do it every weekday, you forget what number you're on. But episode 43 of Zack Miller Live. Got this fancy hat from my good friends at Meet Edgar. Yes, that is an octopus. So shout out to my homies and homegirls at Meet Edgar. This episode isn't sponsored by them, but I do appreciate that they sent me a hat. I want to give away, that's how I got it. Pretty cool stuff. So they posted something on Instagram and they were like, hey, win a cool hat. And I was like, yeah. So I put my name and I wanted to win. And I did. So I'm pumped. And they also asked me to wear the hat. Like, take a picture of it or something. And I said, I'm going to do one better. What's up, everyone? Episode 43 of Zack Miller Live, your favorite show, each and every weekday. Episode 43. So, as you can see in the title, newspapers will die. But will physical books go bye? Bye. Too much, too soon, too much. Sorry. One of these days I'm going to show you exactly what each of these things mean to me. And maybe I'll even add more to the equation. What's up, Sonia? Hope you're doing well. So last night, hey Rachel, how are you? I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine who threw me under the bus. His name's Chad Stenzel. So I figured I could throw him under the bus today. And I was having this conversation with him. You know what? I am going to tag him right here because I think it's like, you know what? I can't do it because I don't think he's on Facebook. Anyway, so having this conversation with my buddy Chad Stenzel. He runs Sandler Training in Tidewater, Virginia. I think that's what theirs is called. Anyway, and as you guys know, I interviewed this guy, Bob Berg, a few weeks ago on the 1004 show. And it was a great episode. Really like this guy. He's written a handful of books, sold millions of books. And I guess his book came out yesterday. And I guess I thought it came out in a few weeks. And so Chad's like, I bought 2 of these books. I was like, that's cool. And so he tagged a picture of this book and wrote, I bought 2 books so that I can let someone else read it too. But not for Zack Miller. He has to get his own too. I was like, oh man, what a jerk. Why would he say that? I was like, cool. So then I went and got the book. He actually went to a bookstore, I guess Barnes & Noble. I don't really know if that's where he went. But he went to the bookstore and bought 2 books. And so then I went and, you guys know I'm on this big kick of listening to audio. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I'll get the audio book because I know what's going to happen is I'm going to get the physical book and it'll sit on my bookshelf back there. That's not the only amount of books I own. It's just the amount of books that I pulled out and put right here, by the way. I own at least double that. So, I was thinking, I was like, you know what? Like, physical books, that's cool, you know? And I've been saying this for years. Newspapers are dying. I can't believe they still print them every day. There's some papers that are like $6 or $7 a pop. That's astronomical. It's stupid. It's a waste. Whatever. And I got to thinking. I was like, oh, that's interesting. You know, I'm a physical book kind of guy. But then I was like, books aren't going to die like newspapers. But actually, if someone's going to take them over, it's going to be audiobooks. And I was thinking, so obviously I swim now with this iPod. I don't have it on me, so I can't show you. But I have this iPod Shuffle that I swim with. Super cool, super rad. And now I downloaded my first book on this iPod, not an iPad, iPod Shuffle. And I was like, huh. Because when people think about books dying, they think about them dying digitally on Kindles. And even though that's been well adopted, there's still just something about the Kindle that I don't think everyone necessarily loves. And so you'll love the physical book. I also think there is something to say about having physical books just in your property. Oh, you want to rent this book? I own so many books that probably 75 to 90% of them have been borrowed and I will never see them again. I remember at one point back in like 2012, 2013, I was going to literally start some sort of like library app to figure out who has borrowed my books to make sure that I can get them back. Which sounds ridiculous. But there are so many books that I've lent out to people. If you're one of those people and you have one of my books, hook a brother up. I mean, I only have 9 books right here. I need more than 9, people. Come on. And so, while I think physical books probably will never die, unlike the newspapers, which will actually die, and probably die within the next 5 years or so, they'll move completely online because it just doesn't make sense anymore for these newspapers specifically to just doesn't. It's not economical for newspapers to stick around and actually print at this point. But and everyone thinks that okay, Kindle was going to kill physical books. I own a Kindle. I've read a handful of books on a Kindle. When I've been reading Anomaly, I've been reading it on my iPad through the Kindle app, just scrolling through just because I don't have a physical book yet, right? But then it got to me thinking, and I think that audiobooks actually might be the thing that kills the physical book. Now, I don't think it's likely. But if something is going to, it's not going to be the digital Kindle. It's not going to be the Kindle app. It's going to be audiobooks. And so, if you think about this, so people listen, and podcast, audiobooks, they're all basically the radio. They're all just this, right? You guys are listening to Zack Miller live, which is recorded live on Facebook Live. But then also gets uploaded to YouTube as well, the exact same. I don't edit anything. It goes then up to YouTube, but then it goes just sound to all the audio mediums and podcasts and stuff like that. And so people are already doing this, right? Yes, you can't take notes in physical book or in audiobooks and stuff like that. But for people that are constantly on the move, like people that are on trains and in their cars all day, you know, the problem with radio in a lot of this is you have a lot of commercials and things that aren't really connected or tied to, but you have to, I guess, deal with it. And that's kind of annoying if you think about it. Now, with audiobooks, so I have this book. It's called The Go-Giver Influence. It's by Bob Berg. I'll pop it up. I'll actually find it right now, and I'll tag it. I'm excited to read this. It's my first book on audio. And I'm going to start likely listening to it today when I go for a swim. And here's the link. You guys can see it. Bob Berg wrote this along with his co-author, who I always forget, John David Mann. And so that's the book I'm going to be listening to. It's 4 hours long, so that's like 4 1-hour swims or 8 30-minute swims. You know, math major over here. Woo! But the key, I believe, is that sometimes when you think about what's going to kill something, like reading the book, you know, physically, or then to the Kindle, everyone thought, oh, the Kindle's going to kill it. And I just don't think that that's really taken off the way that people did. But audiobooks, now with Audible, for a couple bucks a month, like that seems like it might actually have some legs. It might be the killer of physical books. Now, books, I'm guessing, still make a lot of money per book. I don't know the economics behind it, but it probably, if you can get a book on CreateSpace on Amazon for $3 or $4 printed, and you're selling it for $17 to $31, you're probably making a decent amount of margin in there. So unlike a newspaper where you're probably making far less than that daily as well, and there's just a lot of overhead that you have to deal with. So books still make economical sense in that case, but the audio form is really interesting and intriguing. And for people that are on the fly, it's something that they can consume there too. It will be very interesting to know what it's like. I've listened to probably 14 podcasts now while swimming. That's my guess. Maybe 21, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. But what's interesting is what will it be like with a book? Because I've never necessarily listened to a book via audio. So we'll see. So it says, true, audiobooks rock for busy people. Or people that just don't want to read too. You should just, which is more me. Like, I don't mind consuming. Like, I can watch a YouTube video all day. But it's very difficult for me to sit down and read. I just don't like it. You should... Oh, there's a borrowed app for all things borrowed. That's what I'll do. But no, I'm not handing out my books anymore. But when I get my book printed, well, you guys can buy it. I'm not letting you guys borrow that. Come on. Thank you guys for listening. So what do you guys think? Do you think that audio could kill... Do you think that audio recordings of books, audiobooks, could kill physical books? Or is there a space for both of them? I actually think there's probably, as I talk this through, there's actually probably space for both of them, right? And what's interesting about this is audiobooks, and this is how you're listening to the show, like audio is something that, it's not just for busy people, it's people that want to do more than one thing, right? And as it gets stronger and cheaper for you to consume, it actually makes sense that you have the physical book, because I think there is something very important about having that tangible thing. Now, I don't necessarily take notes in books with, what do they call them? Stick-it notes or post-it notes or whatever, but I know plenty of people do. Some people physically write and stuff. And that's something that I think as the world moves on, maybe there's a way to do that in audio where you can just be like, oh, ting, like I need to go back and look at that, and like that'll be like the next feature or something like that. I guess you could do that in Kindle. I don't know, but my point is this: is physical books people thought were going to be destroyed by the Kindle. I don't think that's probably killed it to the same extent that people thought. I remember when I announced my book, people were like, audio. I was like, oh, that's interesting. That is very interesting. Maybe we should do audio sooner than later, I guess. So when the book comes out, I haven't had this conversation with my publisher yet, but I'm gonna push for the audio to go out fairly quickly after it, as well, just because I know so many people will want to listen to it. And of course, it's going to be my voice. Don't you want to listen to this voice? Like, hello, this is Zack Miller. So I was doing this show yesterday, not the show, I was on someone else's show, and they were talking about my Kickstarter video, where I was wearing the suit. You guys have seen it. And then I kind of switched to and do the, the black t-shirt. This black t-shirt. And they were like, oh my God, that was so good. What are you doing? What's your next video? And someone was like, oh, you should try and become the KFC man. That'll be interesting. Maybe that's what we'll do. Episode 43, Zack Miller Live, talking about physical books being defeated by what a lot of people thought was going to be Kindles, but ultimately, could it be audiobooks? Or are they two totally different types of customers, and it'll just be a space that gets bigger? Right. You did. For Sonia got the book and ebook, which is great, but then think about it, there'll be an audiobook at some point as well, too. And there's something about books that just always made me think like, nah, they'll never go away. And that's not me being naive. Like, newspapers, it made sense, right? Radio actually is, I don't even know why they're having a comeback tour, but people are getting back on that, probably because TV and the way that it's in right now is weird, and people are more on Netflix or Hulu than they are on TV, cord cutting, all that type of stuff. But it's interesting because audio has become so popular over the last few years. And maybe it's because it's cheaper to get out. That's one of the reasons. There's more people that are like busy and doing two and three other things. So you talked about, your second screen, your third screen. I do a talk and I'm like, you actually are competing with like 7 screens at this point. So right now I have this screen looking at you. I have this monitor over here making sure and listening to your comments. I barely use my phone, to be honest. I make phone calls and text messages. That's literally about it. That phone a couple weeks ago that I showed you, the really simple one with like a feature or two, I went to go buy it. I didn't realize it wasn't going to come out for like 2 years. And I was like, no. So I'm looking at getting a really simple flip phone. I'm serious about this. I think I'm going to get a flip phone. Because honestly, I don't need anything else. So audio has just become such a popular thing, such a popular medium. I think it actually has a great space to be there along with the physical book. And I don't think physical books ever die. I think there's just something powerful. Because it's this stamp in the ground for those people who wrote them, that I just don't see them going away. And I don't know nothing out here right now I think is going to kill it. Because there is something powerful with just being like, yo, here's this book. You can read it. Sonia says, some books are great for reference. You may just want to lay your eyes on an image or the text. Books can be sentimental. Totally. All right, y'all. That's it for Zack Miller Live, episode 43. Talking about audiobooks, Kindles, physical books. Is there enough room in each of them to compete? I think at least for physical books and audiobooks. But unlike newspapers, which when content is king, they're just going to die. Newspapers are dead 5 years from now, completely wiped out. But I do believe that physical books will never die, as long as they keep the same economics that they have right now. And that audio can compete in the same space. If you're listening to this, would love to hear your comments. Hit me up in the comments or hit me up on email, Zack, Z-A-C-K, at startwithhatch.com. Appreciate you guys being with me today. This was awesome. Audiobooks and physical books, both competing, but in the same space, and we'll both be there. You heard it here first, or fourth, or 4 millionth, whatever. Peace out, homies. Hope you guys are having great days. Hope you have wonderful days. And I will see you tomorrow for episode 44. Zack Miller, out!